Welcome back to Healthy Mind, Healthy Life. I'm your host Yusuf, and today's conversation is not just about weight loss, it is about burnout, identity, and the very real cost of carrying more than your body or your mind was built to hold. Our guest today built a successful IT company. On paper, he was winning. In reality, he was 349 pounds, exhausted and buried in the day, grinding for his business. At some point, he realized he had built a strong company and a very weak relationship with himself. What I love about this story is that he did not just drop the weight, he rewired his operating system. He talks about it as releasing 130 pounds and being on track for 150, not just as before and after photo, more like a shift in how he thinks, chooses, and leads. Today, we are talking about Brett's weight loss transformation, but under the title, we are really asking what does it take to rebuild your life when your body, your business, and your mind are all saying that this is not sustainable. So, if you are listening right now and you feel stuck in your own version of 349 pounds, maybe it is not weight, maybe it is stress, responsibilities, or emotional baggage. This episode is for you. Brett, welcome to Healthy Mind, Healthy Life.
Thank you very much. It's such a pleasure to be here. And it you've mentioned 130, it's 140 now. So, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Take us back to that 349 pounds version of yourself. What did an average day look like in your body and in your business?
Um, I remember the time it was m- when I hit that, it was a month after my father had died after COVID. I've I was struggling all along with my weight loss. I'd had success. I get a small win.
Mm.
But I was tired. I was falling asleep on the couch. I was carrying the weight of the world. I had so many responsibilities and deadlines. I I would avoid taking my children to the park because like they would ask, can we go for a walk up to the park? And I would avoid it because I didn't want to be short of breath and exhausted. It's not a
Mm.
way to live. And and I struggled with that still for 2 to 3 years, and finally till I got to a point where I came to my decision day, where I faced my truth.
And can you tell me what was the point when you realized that, uh, you know, this is the problem that will break me if I do not change?
I think I always knew that deep down,
Mm.
but I was lying to myself, telling myself things that weren't true. And there was a little moment that happened for me in October 2023. I was talking to my coach. I said, "Dave, I don't have time to go to the gym."
Mm.
And he said to me, "Brett, you mean to tell me you own your own business and you can't even go to the gym?" That hit me like a brick
Mm.
because I knew what he was saying was true. I was just not prioritizing things in the right place. I wasn't putting myself first. And I like to b- think about what they say when you get on an airplane. They say, put your own oxygen mask on first. I was not putting my own oxygen mask on. I was putting everybody and everyone else first, thinking that that was the right pathway so I could serve people, putting everyone ahead of my own needs. But it was completely backwards
Mm.
because you can't help anybody unless you put your own mask on.
True.
And when I started doing that, everything changed.
Mm.
It wasn't like an overnight, it was a slow, steady thing. But those little moments where you realize, here's a win. Released 20 pounds, released 40, I released 80, I released 100. I developed a new identity,
Mm.
a new belief system when it was possible.
Mm. Oh. What you just shared, it's so relatable because most people think transformation starts with a gym membership. For you, it sounds like it started with an uncomfortable truth and a pretty raw conversation. And that is, I think, that should be put forward, especially in this Instagrammy world where they see before and after images, but not the struggle between those images.
Yeah, the 6 inches between your ears, there's that battle, the mindset. I often say a lot of times that mindset is a muscle.
Yeah, okay, wow.
It, it's what we say to ourselves, and for me, it's been the person who I am becoming, rebuilding my
Mm.
new identity of who I get to be, who I get to inspire, who I get to help in my journey.
Uh, Talking about rebuilding operating system, on a
Yeah.
practical level, what did that actually mean?
Uh, That meant telling myself that the things I used to tell myself, I had to really face that truth and realize that wasn't a truth or the reality. So, um, like tr- putting myself first was a
Mhm.
very uncomfortable because I'm a people pleaser. So I rewire that truth and slowly get comfortable that knowing that the 5 a.m. gym time
Mm.
was my time, or the hour or the hour and a half time in the middle of the day, even though there was a million and one other things going on. The best thing that I could do was to go for that walk or that hike. So I would have the oxygen to think. So I have the ability to show up in ways that I never even thought was possible for my beautiful wife, my family, my team, and myself.
Yeah. Yeah. And looking back now, what change might had the biggest impact that most people would probably overlook? Something that was not maybe flashy, but that completely changed your trajectory.
You can't there's so many different ways to answer that. I'm gonna answer it in a couple of ways. And
Sure.
you can't outwork out you can't exercise out of a bad diet.
Mm. Okay.
So, the truth is, I had to change my relationship with food too. I would use food emotionally, but I use it now as fuel. The other thing is that we often say we have time assassins that take up our time.
Mm.
I've said this countless times, even in my own mastermind, that everybody has 20 minutes or 10 minutes, and consistency compounds.
Yeah.
So you can do incredible amount of work on your mental well-being and your physical well-being if you are consistent and you take 3 20-minute walks. And if you can't start with one 20-minute walk, start with a 10 and do 3 10-minute walks. Everybody has 10 minutes.
Mm.
And once you develop that habit and consistency, then you'll say, like what I did, I would have this little competition when I would walk around the block. How much farther can I walk without stopping to catch my breath? So for those of that you that are listening that maybe are thinking that I should start on my own health journey or at least putting yourself first, give yourself permission today to go on that 10-minute reset walk. And then later on, build up to 20 and 30 or 40. Treat yourself like your best client,
Wow.
and then everything else will just become magic.
You know, this is such a strong idea that treat yourself as your first client because most of the time when people ask generally what are the top 5 people in the world that you prioritize, there are hardly any people that will say, okay, first me. They'll say first my mother, father, family, anybody else, but not themselves.
Yeah.
Putting yourself first is might be even just saying it out loud or just to yourself. It's a very strong component, I would say, strong affirmation for yourself and for your transformation. And yes, I believe that as well. Even not just a 10-minute walk. If you can walk for 30 seconds, just do it. 1 minute, just do
Yes.
it. Start with the step. Start with the step.
Park farther
Anything,
away when you go to the grocery store.
yeah, makes sense.
Yeah.
Anything smallest to smallest, tiniest to tiniest will compound and be something magical. Just start now.
Yes. Start today. Don't put off tomorrow what could be the greatest change in your life by making a decision. Come to your decision day, like what I did. I came to my decision day in October 2023 that I said, this is it. Enough's enough. I'm going in. And and at the same time, though, the power of having accountability, going public, sharing it like I did on Instagram, but most specifically, sharing it with my peer group of people that I met with,
Yeah,
telling people this is what I'm doing. People were silently cheering me on. They were holding me accountable, but most of all, accountability also happens with yourself.
yeah,
You have to keep yourself accountable, keep the promises. And here's the truth though. Sometimes you'll get knocked down, but don't be hard on yourself. It was a setback. I had many setbacks, but I get back right up and I start and say, let's go. A lot of people sometimes will stop, they'll have a bad day, and then it just stays like that. But catch yourself. Hey, we're we're only human. We
mm,
did have a bad day. But what's important is we catch ourselves and we decide that we're honoring that promise we made to ourselves, that decision day, like what I did. And perhaps somebody is listening right now. Maybe it's on their heart to have their decision day. Keep the promise to yourself. Please. You'll be so thankful. The future you, 5 years from now, they're waiting. They're cheering you on. They believe in you.
true. That is inspiring.
Yeah.
You say mindset is a muscle. For someone listening who is tired of motivational quotes, what did that look like day to day when the scale was not moving or the business was chaotic? What did training your mindset actually look like?
I it looked there were times it was hard.
Yeah.
It was hard. But when something worthwhile is worth doing, you do it, even when it's hard and even when the scale doesn't budge, because sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah.
And you also have to, though, you have to recognize to celebrate the other wins. It's not always about scale. It's about, did I show up and did I honor my plan? Did I get out for the walk? Did I say something kind or show some people love and appreciation, even when it
Mm.
was hard, even when I didn't feel like it? So it's that mindset of keeping showing up, even when it's hard, even when it's dark, when you think, ah, crap, the scale went up 3 pounds this week. So what? You keep going at it, you will get there. You will celebrate the win. And that's where you have that mindset that you have to keep going. Never give up on yourself. The future version of you is waiting for you to do it.
When people see a 130-pound transformation, they often think that this must be amazing. what is the part of this journey that people romanticize from the outside that from the inside was actually very lonely, boring, or painful?
I don't know if there was a part of it was boring, painful. In some ways, it was painful that the old habits I had to get rid of eating fast food when I was
Mm.
uncomfortable, but it was worth it, every bit of it, because who I am today, who I get to show up as, I would avoid going to public places or doing speaking engagements or even sharing my story online because I was hiding of just how I looked, how I felt. But now I embrace that.
True.
There was no real boring part. It was, it, and I guess in a way, I might be wired a little weirdly, you know. I but I don't apologize for it.
Yeah.
I feel grateful that been given this gift of life to show up. And now I've even embraced a new truth, even in the last couple of months, that I get to share this journey because others before have inspired me. So if anything that if I know that I've helped somebody today,
Mm.
and that's a win. And I get these messages all the time from people saying, "Hey, because of you, I started."
Yeah.
That's the win.
You know, some there are skeptics that says that in health space, weight loss often gets framed as the ultimate proof of success. Do you ever worry that your story could unintentionally send the message that people in bigger bodies are not disciplined? How do you hold that tension?
Well, for the everybody's got their own journey,
Mm.
right? And there's people are very disciplined that are in, that are heavier than me. And even I was disciplined even when I was 349 pounds. I just didn't make the decision on what part of my life I want to be disciplined in. We all have different places where we show up and we show that discipline. I
Mm.
was a disciplined father, disciplined business owner.
Yeah.
I, but like a grape, when you squeeze it and you can get the best part of it out, what I decided now was I want to be disciplined in a new way on
Mm.
who I am physically. And a byproduct of that was my mental health, my mental mindset of who I show up as is even greater. So everybody is on this earth. We're all on our own journeys. And I think, I don't think for a minute that people that are heavier don't have discipline. They just have discipline in other places. Maybe they don't on their physical health. Maybe they haven't decided, but I respect them and I respect their journey. And if any of the people that were heavier or have some weight that they want to release, and I say release because when you lose, you find it. I would
Mm.
encourage you just to to maybe look at that discipline for your own physical being and have a byproduct of having those mental wins, that mental mindset of who you can show up and who you can become, and just honoring that future version of you that's waiting for you to embrace that.
That's true. Brett, are there any ways that our listeners can connect with it?
Absolutely. I'd love to connect with you, specifically on Instagram. If you find me, Brett_Gallant, I'd love to connect with you. Um, and I made a little travel hack uh, guide for when you're traveling. If you want to be successful when you're traveling, if you DM me travel, I'll send you a little bit of a guide that I made. And if you want to have a chat, about cybersecurity. That's what our business does. Uh,
Perfect. Brett, is there any last message that you want to leave us with?
yeah, this is the message. Don't ever underestimate yourself. You are filled with so much potential. You have unlimited capabilities that you don't even possibly comprehend, and maybe you do. But I want to encourage you to go all out, play life at its fullest,
Mm.
do your best every day, and just give it everything you have and believe in yourself. And if you're on a journey like I was, if I can do it, you can. And I'm saying that because the me 5 years ago needs to hear this.
Uh,
I needed to hear that.
Brett,
Love
this has
yourself.
been a
Love yourself. Love yourself more than anything.
Brett, this this has been a real masterclass in what transformation actually looks like when you strip away the highlight reel. We talked about a 130-pound journey that is on track for 140 and maybe 150. But
Oh,
more important,
150 for sure. Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
but more importantly, we talked about honesty, systems, boundaries, and the way your health and your leadership are deeply linked. For everyone listening, maybe you are not running a cybersecurity company. Maybe you are not trying to release triple digit weight, but you probably recognize pieces of yourself in the story. The burnout, the autopilot, the feeling that you built a life that looks impressive and does not feel safe or sustainable on the inside. If that is you today, your first step might not be a diet or a new workout. It might be one brutally honest conversation with yourself. One habit you change this week, one boundary you enforce at work. Like we heard today, mindset is a muscle. You do not have to overhaul everything overnight. You just have to start with one step. Brett, thank you for trusting us with the messy parts of your story and not just the polished parts.
Thank you. It was a pleasure.
To our listeners, if this episode hit home, share it with someone who needs permission to start over. And always take what serves your mind and your life and leave the rest. I'm Yusuf. This is Healthy Mind, Healthy Life. Take care of your body, guard your mind, lead your life with intention. We will see you in the next episode.